In a fantasy world, the human race is facing a steadily rising threat of extinction because of the demons. To turn the tide against the enemy, a group of high school students from the Earth is summoned into a different realm. 17-year-old Hajime is an ordinary student who is now synergist and lacks combat skills. After getting betrayed by his classmates, he falls into the depths of the labyrinth, which is filled with monstrous creatures he could never have even imagined, and soon his arms get chopped off by a bear. The only ability he has is transmuting, which allows him to manipulate matter into anything of his choice. Using his ability that everyone always looked down on, he transmutes his way underground, where he stumbles upon a divinity stone. It is able to provide an infinite supply of healing fluid called ambrosia, and helps Hajime in surviving the loss of his arm. Alone and hungry in the middle of nowhere, Hajime has a physical and emotional breakdown. Out of necessity, he has no option but to eat the monsters to survive and starts hunting brawny wolves with the help of well-set traps. The more he eats them, the more his DNA changes. Once a softy, now a jaded and cynical person, Hajime starts hunting more monsters. With his transformation complete, he wishes to raise his levels even more and acquire more magical powers. He is even able to use his ability Transmute to create his first powerful weapon, which is a pistol. Eventually, he evolves to the extent that he is able to face the same bear that attacked him earlier. He just doesn't overpower the bear, but he also eats it and decides to explore the abyss even deeper. He makes it through the entire dungeon and kills all these monsters without getting a spot of dust or blood on him, even while he is tearing out guts from creatures. The entirety of Episode 2 is a straightforward montage of Hajime defeating enemies here and there, and suddenly he is already past 50 floors and knocks on the door of the golden-haired vampire girl. The rest of the class assumes Hajime is dead, and when the king learns of Hajime's demise, he prohibits any mention of the occurrence because he cannot accept that a hero could die. In flashbacks, Shizuku Kaori's friend reveals that the Pope called her high school class and their teacher to this realm to serve as heroes in mankind's fight against demons and beasts. Meanwhile, Hayama is acting oddly, and Kaori senses it. He assures his panicked self that no one saw him push Hajime. As Hajime finally makes it to a huge stone door, he overcomes the two guards and takes the keys he found on their dead bodies to open the door. He discovers a little girl with blonde hair trapped in a square crystal inside, but chooses to ignore her reasoning that she must be a monster in prison for a cause. She reveals that she is immortal, vampire princess, but isn't evil. Apparently, her uncle betrayed her and sought to take her place after shutting her away since he couldn't possibly kill her. Hajime sets her free out of compassion, as he himself had recently been betrayed by his own people. The vampire decides to get a new name and start fresh, so she asks Hajime for suggestions, and he names her Yu after the moon because her mesmerizing hair reminds him of moonlight. Afterwards, a huge scorpion monster attacks Yu and Hajime, and they defeat it. Yu recovers her magic by ingesting Hajime's blood while he eats the scorpion flesh. Hajime informs Yu that the last vampire settlement was wiped off 300 years ago. According to Yu, the Mavericks who created the labyrinths were strong magic users who tried and failed to overthrow their god. Thereafter, he uses the scorpion shell and with his transmutation ability to create a rifle named Schlagen. Hajime opens up to Yu, telling her that even though he was betrayed, he doesn't want revenge. He doesn't even think about his classmates anymore. He only wants to be powerful, just so that he can make it to home. Since Yu is apparently homeless, he offers her to come to live with him as well, to which she happily agrees. While his classmates decide to enter the labyrinth again, Hajime and Yu visit a floor where a plant-like creature has infected the monsters and is controlling their bodies. Yu too gets infected, but Hajime has become immune to the poison owing to one of the monsters that he had once devoured. He starts shooting without a care in the world. It is a bit confusing how he had the time to make millions of bullets, but nevertheless he manages to take down the monster. After all is done, they arrive on the lowest floor a few days later and get ready to encounter the final boss of the labyrinth. The ultimate battle involves a huge dragon-like creature with 6 heads, each of which is able to use a different kind of magic. To make matters worse, one monster head has the ability to heal the others, so no amount of attack is useful. Out of nowhere, Hajime kisses Yu to jolt her out of the petrifying trance of one of the heads and basically saves her from getting eaten. Fortunately, Hajime is able to kill the healing dragon head with the help of his Schlagen. Meanwhile, Yu uses lightning to take out the other heads. Before the two get a chance to get a sigh of relief, an unexpected 7th head appears. Hajime tries to protect Yu instead of attacking the monster, and therefore suffers serious injuries, and his rifle is destroyed. Yui brings Hajime to safety after finding him unconscious and attempts to use his gun to shoot but gets wounded. Although unconscious, Hajime hears Yu weeping and wakes up. He somehow enhances his speed enough that he can evade all blows from the monster. He throws explosives all throughout the chamber, which causes the roof to fall on the creature's head and gives Yu the chance to eliminate it with lightning spell. After defeating the boss while they are all spent, the last door finally opens and Hajime collapses from exhaustion. Meanwhile, Pop argues with the teacher who also came here as a hero on whether it would be wise to enter the labyrinth again. However, when she promises to use her fertility magic to help improve the kingdom's agriculture, he promises to only send kids who volunteer. Hajime wakes up in a strange place and explores the house of the maker of the labyrinth while the rest of the students are busy making their way down the dungeon, facing head on the same monster that partially contributed to Hajime's fall from the cliff. After waking up in bed with Yui, Hajime realizes that he has lost his right eye and that they are in the Maverick's house. After finding the Maverick's bones, a recorder gets triggered that the Maverick had purposefully left behind. In the recording, the Maverick identifies himself as Great Orcus. He believes that since Hajime had successfully made it this far, he is worthy of knowing the truth, that the Mavericks were actually just liberators. While the class beheads the behemoth, Oscar gives Hajime his abilities and memories. He also inherits Oscar's ancient creation magic, which enables him to combine items that have undergone transmutation with magical powers to produce new artifacts. After burying Oscar, Hajime grabs his ring, which activates a surface gateway. He makes the decision to clear every labyrinth so they can use ancient magic. During the course of 2 months, Hajime makes use of Oscar's library, workshop and wealth to study all he can. He also crafts various vehicles and weaponry, as well as equips himself with a sophisticated prosthetic limb and a mystical diamond to substitute his right eye. He offers a magical ring to Yui and tells her that his future intentions would make them enemies of the church and its god. He has a new aim, new anticipation, and a new direction to walk, and Yui vows to stick with him no matter what. New places and characters are introduced with what seems like a new arc. A rabbit girl, Chaya Julia, is seen waiting there for Hajime and Yui, knowing their intention to travel because she has the ability to predict future. Apparently she has some business with them, but they keep ignoring her because they find her annoying. She decides to put up with their attitude, and Hajime agrees to listen to her if she leads them to the great tree Oscar had mentioned in his books. The rabbit girl's tribe is on the verge of extinction, and she needs Hajime's help to train them. During their journey to the tribe, Hajime uses the poor rabbit girl as bait to kill a couple of monsters. When he arrives at the tribe's forest, he sees a bunch of helpless, cowardly men and decides to train them by giving an ultimatum that either they will kill monsters or he will kill the tribe. By the end, they all become skilled monster hunters. She keeps her side of the promise and takes them to the tree, which appears to be an opening to another labyrinth. Hajime deduces that since the stone slab has a slot for the rings, it will only open once he has conquered the other labyrinths first. To return Hajime's favor, the rabbit tribe promises to guard the tree and train regularly until Hajime returns. As expected, she falls head over heels for Hajime and wants to travel with them, to which Yui obviously disagrees. However, the three continue on their journey after she defeats Yui in a duel bet by managing to scratch Yui's face. From there, the trio travels to a place called Harasden Gorge, which contains an entrance to yet another labyrinth. The creator of this labyrinth, Maletti, is quite a hyperactive girl who loves practical jokes. The entire maze, like labyrinth, is filled with such pranks. Eventually, they reach the bottom of the labyrinth, prepared to face Maletti, but instead they encounter a giant robot operated by her. A lengthy battle ensues where Yui is unable to land any magic spells, and Shia uses her magic to buff up her physical appearance and try fighting the robot. They eventually manage to shatter her heart, before getting completely terminated. She wishes Hajime luck because she knows he will eventually have to fight their god. Even though he clarifies that he doesn't plan on fighting any god, she tells him that a day will come when he will be called a godslayer. The trio proceeds further, and they stumble upon Maletti's soul in a hilarious-looking golem. Shia sees it as a good opportunity to punish her for the joke she targeted her with. What should have taken them weeks to finish, they wrapped it up in a matter of moments, and as a reward for conquering the labyrinth, she gives Hajime her ring and transfers her ancient gravity magic to Yui. When she tries to help them exit the maze via a whirlpool, Shia almost drowns but is saved by Hajime. Next up, the Adventurers Guild commissions Hajime to locate lost adventurers, including a son of one of the nobles. What Hajime doesn't know is that his high school teacher and some of his classmates are also in the same farming village that they have arrived in. It doesn't take him long to stumble across them, but he tries his best to stay undercover. Shia, ignoring all the signs as usual, calls his name out loud and blows his cover. His teacher gets emotional to meet him, but gets ruthlessly ignored by him. It is revealed that Shamuzu, one of the students, has mysteriously disappeared. After that, they are approached by an egotistical Templar knight who disrespects Shia and gets a severe beating by Hajime. This comes as a shock to everyone, and they realize that the shy softy Hajime they once knew is dead and gone. Although his merciless attitude terrifies everyone, Ayaka still promises to think of a way for him to reunite with them. After several of her failed attempts to approach him, Hajime meets her alone to tell her the truth about the demon war. Many people realized the truth centuries ago. The god was not on their side, but was only managing the conflict for his own enjoyment. Those people became the liberators in order to liberate mortals from God's oppression. However, it got them labeled rebels and mavericks by the church. The last liberators constructed the labyrinths to safeguard their ancient magic until someone worthy of overcoming the god appears. Before departing, he informs her explicitly that someone among them had pushed him into the dungeon that day. To learn more about the liberator, Aiko gets the students to help Hajime and his group in locating the missing adventurers. The squad travels up the mountain where Hajime transmutes drones in the air and uses his crystal eye to locate the adventurers. They only succeed in finding the noble son, who reveals that their team was annihilated by a bunch of monsters and a black dragon. It doesn't take long for the latter to attack Hajime's squad as well. However, he manages to knock it down with the help of his weapon and plans on driving a stake through its heart. At the last moment, his sadistic instincts take over, and he decides to drive the stake through its most unarmored area. When he is about to proceed, the dragon asks for forgiveness and reveals that she was mysteriously compelled by a person to attack and promises to reveal his identity. Ruthless Hajime resolves to kill her nonetheless, but Yui persuades him to let her live. He removes the stake, and the dragon changes into a woman who happens to be a masochist and admits she actually enjoyed the stake and finds Hajime's combination of neglect and verbal abuse attractive. She tells them that the said person has 60,000 monsters and plans to assault the farm they just came from. Hajime is determined to fight and establishes walls around the village in order to. Hajime then uses mini-guns and grenade launchers to slaughter the demon troops. However, soon Yui and Tio run out of their magic and bullets and race to apprehend the enigmatic robed leader. The man is revealed to be Shimizu, who confesses that he was jealous of his stronger peers, so he made a deal with a demon for strength in exchange for murdering their teacher. A sniper shoots him from behind as he slashes Aiko with a poisonous dagger. Hajime eliminates the sniper and heals Aiko using the ambrosia fluid he had. As Shimizu is on the death door, he pledges his allegiance to Hajime, who recognizes the deception in his eyes and cruelly murders him, much to everyone's surprise. While Hajime decides that they have worked enough and should take a break to take a tour of the city, somewhere a gang of thugs kidnaps a mermaid kid named Miyu and plans on selling her. Hajime stumbles upon an intelligent talking fish in an aquarium and releases him in the open. The fish tells him about the kidnapped mermaid, which unnerved Hajime. He and Shia explore the city until he finds her in the sewers and saves her, infuriating the gang's leader. He keeps Miyu safe and hands her over to the city guards. Miyu refuses to leave Hajime's side, and soon the guards get attacked and she gets kidnapped again. Angered, Hajime begins killing everyone he thinks will be participating in the auction of Miyu. After locating her, he takes her and leaves, blowing up the entire mansion on the way. Miyu chooses to start calling Hajime her papa, promoting his 3 wives to demand that Hajime should father their kids as well. Despite his doubts, Hajime does a good job of parenting Miyu. While the other students explore the dungeon, they encounter a demon named Cordelia, who has prepared several traps for the class in the labyrinth. The class is overpowered by Cordelia's summoned monsters, and they are unable to even approach Cordelia to try to kill her. While Hajime is with the guildmaster, one of the classmates arrives and asks for his help. Inside the labyrinth, Hayama and Nakamura both propose making contracts with the devil in order to survive. Koyuki is the only one who refuses to back down and approaches Cordelia head-on. However, he hesitates after seeing a necklace with a photograph of her beloved, and loses his chance to kill her. Hajime resolves to save his class, thinking that because only one of them attempted to murder him, most of them cannot be blamed. Shizuku's original sword breaks during the battle, and she prepares to die beside Kaori. However, they are saved at the last second by Hajime, who has built a route through the higher floors using his pile bunker weapon. Everyone's jaws drop to the ground to see Hajime alive. Hajime interprets Cordelia's sorcery and destroys all of her demons. Hayama is scared of Hajime's return, believing he would be exposed for his attempted murder of Hajime. Meanwhile, Hajime gives an unbreakable sword to Shizuku. Miu refers to Hajime as Papa, which confuses everyone and irritates Kaori. Cordelia tries to escape but is apprehended by Hajime, who absolutely torments her to extract information. Hajime discovers that a demon has made his way through the labyrinths and is assembling a monster army. Cordelia threatens him that his lover would get mad if he hurts her, but little did she know that he couldn't care less and kills her in the blink of an eye. Yuki is upset that Hajime murdered the defenseless Cordelia, so Hajime chastises him for failing to do what is necessary. Once outside, Kaori confesses to him but gets rejected. However, she still insists on joining his squad in order to compete with Yui for his love. Hajime is determined to return to Japan, no matter whom he has to kill. It doesn't matter to him if his next rival is going to be God himself. And that's the end of the video. As always, if you liked what you saw, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next one.